the very next day after the state of the county. So if you think of that, what happened this time 5 years ago? The pandemic hit Georgia, and really the world shut down the very next day. What a difference 5 years makes. We're here together. We're all here together, learning from one another. Our community has grown. We have seen great things happen coming out of a time where we all were just more than a little concerned. We were a lot concerned. We wondered what was going to happen. But the beauty of it all was this community has remained strong throughout. We continue to come together. We continue to support one another in all that we do. And so from a business standpoint, there is no better place to do business than this community. And I say that because of the people in this room. You all give everything you have to support our community in the most wonderful ways. So our community is doing better because of each one of you and those who are out in our community doing business, doing service, doing good work. And so we are thankful. I hope that you feel this as well. But we are blessed and thankful, should be thankful, to live in Oconee County. There is truly no better place to be than right here in Oconee. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Chairman Daniel to let you all know a little bit about what's happened and what's coming up.
So thank you all so much for making it out today. I really appreciate your support for this event. Our attendance is up 17% from even last year, and it's not even election year, so thank you so much. I want to introduce some of our special guests that are here today. We got Commissioner Mark Thomas, Commissioner Chuck Horton, Commissioner Aaron Harden, and Commissioner Mark Saxon with us. Also our probate judge, Mike Hunsinger. From the Board of Education, got Amy Parrish, Ryan Hammond, Rock Tool, and Adam Hammond. Did Michael make it in yet?
No. He's actually working.
Okay. All right. So we also from the City of Watkinsville, Brian Broderick. Thank you for being here. Also from the also Lieutenant Governor, we have Luke Hedlund. So Luke, thank you for coming out today. With that, we'll kind of follow our normal format. I'll go through a few slides, talk about some stuff, and then we'll turn it over to y'all to ask questions so we cover everything y'all are interested in hearing about. With that, we'll talk about our county expenditures for FY25. This was adopted back in June of 2023 with an estimated population at that time of 44,000. As you can see, our total budget is $40.7 million. Our top three areas of spending is Sheriff's Office at $11.8 million, Public Works at $4.2, and Parks and Rec at $4.2. If you look at keeping people and property safe, about public safety, 40% of our entire budget goes to keeping people and property safe. Collection of taxes, between the property tax commission and property appraisal, we spend about $1.2 million in collection of that. That's shared between the Board of Education and the Board of Commissioners. Back in FY24, through an agreement with the Board of Education, we dropped the percentage rate from 2.5% to 2%. And so far, between FY24 and so far in FY25, that's kept $500,000 in the school board's coffers for use to educate our kids. Next item is our revenues. Property tax is $19.5 million. That includes your real property tax that you get and have to pay in November, as well as personal property tax for businesses, and then your TABT tax. So keep buying those cars, y'all. You're helping us out a lot. I keep being amazed at how much tax keeps coming in. It goes up every year. Local option sales tax is $10.7 million, or 26% of our revenue. This is a 1% tax that you pay at the cash register. This is a reduction of the millage rate based on the previous year's collection. So what we collect this year, we'll reduce your millage rate countywide by that amount for next year. And sales tax continues to rise. On average, you get $400 to $500 off your millage rate based on our collection of local option sales tax. Our other tax includes insurance premium tax, and this is collected by the insurance commissioner, and then he writes checks to all the counties and cities in the state based on the amount of tax collected in that jurisdiction. Oconee County reduces their millage rate based on that collection, which is for 2024 is about 0.94 mills. Since that money is sent directly to the cities, we only reduce that amount on the people outside the city limits of those cities. Tax digest. This is the first year, 2025 will be the first year our tax digest is impacted by the 10 questions y'all had to answer last time. And, so we appreciate your support on that. New homesteads were initiated by the Board of Commissioners, and thanks to our legislative delegation, they had to work hard to get this through the State House and the State Senate to get onto the ballot. And it was one of the more complicated processes the council had to go through. That repealing some previous legislation, putting others, that's why we ended up with 10 questions. So basically, our minimum homestead, state homestead is $2,000, that will remain the same. In addition to that, Oconee County added a $3,000 homestead exemption to get you up to $5,000. We have a floating homestead for 65 and older, that'll hold your assessment value level. So if you were somebody in your household, you or your spouse was 65 on January 1st, your property assessment value will freeze this year for that. Automatically, you won't have to go in and file any paperwork for that. In addition, if you or your spouse was 75 years or older on January 1st, then you receive an additional $10,000 in exemption. So we had kind of calculated what that was going to mean to our digest and what we're prepared to move forward with that. As investment continues to be strong in Oconee County and your existing property values continue to rise, the Board of Commissioners has done a rollback, at least a full rollback for 3 consecutive years. And the rollback is calculated by the tax commissioner. And the purpose of that rollback is to determine how much growth in the digest is inflationary versus how much is real growth. And we've adopted that, taking out the inflationary rate for the last 3 years. Over the last 4 years, we've reduced the millage rate by 2.251 mills. So that's 34% reduction over the last 4 years. So even with that, we have some property owners that have received a tax increase last year. 61-year-old lady was able to work her finances enough to retire at age 60. Has a 1,200 square foot home built in 1984. And despite our rollback, her assessment went up 27.6% in 1 year. So she actually saw an increase despite our millage rollback. Hence, we have House Bill number 581, which passed. Both houses with more than the required 2/3 majority. The bill was signed by the governor. There was a referendum in November with 63% passage statewide and also 64% passage in Oconee County with 86% turnout. Basically, this creates a floating homestead in addition to everything else that we've talked about that starts this year. Your assessed value can only increase by the amount of the selected inflation rate. So that has been selected by the Revenue Commissioner. Now, in case you want to track it, CPI-U will be the inflationary rate that's calculated. 2024 is your base year for your assessments. The Department of Revenue will not publish an inflation number for 2025, so 2024 to 2025 year assessed value will remain the same, with the exception of the stuff that we're putting in place to give you the exemptions. Floating homestead applies only to homesteaded property. So roughly we have 14,100 single-family homes, with only 9,300 of those are homesteads. So 34% of the single-family homes won't even be impacted by this bill. The value of your home will reset at purchase, when you purchase a new home or sell your home. And substantial changes to the property will be captured to increase the value. So if you add on to your home, you will see some increase in that. House Bill 581 did have an opt-out. Board of Commissioners met at our strategic planning meeting and talked about the House Bill 581. Based on decisions from our citizens, we also looked at what would the actual impact of our services be had this bill been in place before. We looked at our unrestricted fund balance and also the stewardship of our millage rate. So we decided not to opt out. All the cities in Oconee County remain in House Bill 581 as well. So what that does is it qualifies the county government along with the cities to ask you for an additional 1% sales tax. Now, there's no plans at all right now to, over the next few years, to even talk about this option, but it is an option. The additional sales tax will work similar to the local option sales tax we discussed. Each dollar collected will apply to a reduction in your millage rate. So that would be another $400 to $500 in savings on property tax, if we decide to head that direction. Number of employees. Currently, we have 282 full-time employees. We reached our lowest level in 2020. It was like it was about 257 employees at that time. So we have added some. We've added one full-time person to the clerk of court, one to elections, 2 animal services, and 5 to the sheriff's office. That'd be 3 deputies and 2 in the 911 center. During FY23 through the first half of FY25, your commission increased base pay for all employees by $8,500. This increase allows the sheriff's office to fill all their open positions in patrol and E911 prior to January of this year. On January 5th of 2025, the Board of Commissioners increased the pay grade for the public safety grade 10 and above, which is basically all your certified deputies, by $5,000, and then all other employees by $2,500. And this was to aid in the recruitment of 16 new deputies, so roughly $400,000 outside the SRO program that the Board of Commissioners has taken on in order to help with the SRO recruitment. So as we all know, September 4th, 2024 was the shooting in Appalachian School. Got a call from Sheriff Hale the next day, September 5th, talking about the SRO program, what he thought he needed to move forward to put deputies in all 12 schools. That number was 16 deputies. This is more than just a security guard type situation. Also, on January 29th of this year, I think it was the first ever business meeting of the Board of Education and the Board of Commissioners. We adopted an agreement for school resource officer program. And I just want to say that this agreement would not be in place if it hadn't been for the hard work and involvement and negotiations going on directly between the Board of Commissioners and the Board of Education. So, Amy, Adam, Brock, thank you very much. Brian, thank you. All our commissioners, Mark, Chuck, Amber, thank you for all your time that was put into that. So both boards unanimously passed the agreement. There's roughly 7 sections in here. The first section was negotiated between the chairman with respect to board consultation. That's sections 1 and 2. Sections 3 and 4 were negotiated between the superintendent's office and the sheriff's office, with the exception of section 3.24, which related to duty assignments outside the school year for SR program participants. Sections 5 through 7, which deals with budgeting and policy, was negotiated with the chairman, by the two chairmen, with consultation of the board members. And then 8 through 12 is just kind of lawyer stuff, so the legal team kind of looked at all that. Basically, the SRO program allows up to 16 deputies who will have one SRO in each of the 12 schools. Sheriff Hale was able to begin recruitment with the passage of the agreement, and I think the last count was 5 deputies are already assigned. So in that short amount of time, he's been able to recruit 5 new deputies to take those, place of those that are moving into the schools. Reimbursement for the program costs will occur between Board of Education and Board of Commissioners. Board of Education will reimburse 90% of the program cost. Our first term will run through the end of FY '26, and they're due automatically unless any of the parties give 30 days notice not to proceed. And then any party can terminate with 30 days notice. So, as you can see, public safety is where we're having our big increases in Gary County. Residential permits, we were up roughly 35 permits over last year, so we went from 178 to 212. Again, 200 to 250 range is the very sweet spot. In the early 2000s was the first time residential sewer was offered in the county, so from 2002 to 2006, the average number of new permits was 435 per year. Recession hit from 2007, 2011, and then things started kicking back off in 2012. That's when Caterpillar came in as well. In 2017, we had some increased accountability to building code, rezone conditions, and some of our processes. So we still have roughly 2,600 residential lots that were zoned. 70% of those were zoned prior to 2009, and a huge majority of those are on residential sewer. Westwood subdivision now 78 is underway, and it likely accounts for the 35 permits increase that we had for this last year. Oconee County continues to be a water-first community. Our Calls Creek expansion to 3 million gallons a day. Phase 1 is coming to a close. Phase 3, we're finalizing right-of-way easements and expect bidding later this month or into April. We're also partners in the Upper Oconee Water Basin Authority with Athens, Clark, Jackson, and Barrow County. We're currently at 90% design complete for doubling the capacity of the plant. So Oconee County will go from 4 million gallons a day of drinking water to 9 million gallons a day of drinking water. We're also members in the Hard Labor Creek Reservoir. As you might remember, Governor Kemp awarded $42 million for this project. We're not quite ready to move forward with using water out of Hard Labor Creek, but we did contribute $12 million to the treatment plant. Just so you know, the Water Resources is an enterprise fund and do not receive property tax funds from our citizens. So it's from user fees, and we also do allow SPLOST dollars to go for some of the bigger projects. Oconee County continues to be recognized as a plan-first community as well. We continue to make updates and amendments to the UDC as we discover issues of roughly twice a year. We'll bring that forward to the community and the commissioners to look at changes that need to be made. We're working right now with Bogart and North High Shoals to update their UDCs and also to develop intergovernmental agreements on supplemental services that the county is providing to them. We also updated our alcohol ordinance to expand pouring zones last year and allow for brew pubs and as well as some other administrative changes there. Public Works and Transportation. The orange barrel syndrome is alive and well in their county. And just so you know, it's not getting easier. Go over, GDOT, Georgia Department of Transportation projects in Oconee County. First is State Route 16 at Jimmy Daniel, Virgil Langford, and Oconee Connector. The DOT put those in one bundle, so you have one contractor doing all those. We expect construction to start this calendar year. Completion date will be 2028. So 2025 through 2028. And that's if it stays on schedule. So, if you thought Butler's Crossing was tough, just be ready and start making your plans now on how you're gonna avoid certain areas at certain times. Last word we got was the flyover at Virgil Langford will be the first, part of the construction project. But at some point, Oconee Connector 316 will close, for up to 45 days. So, our next project is, US 441 from Morgan County to Bishop. That's going to 4-lane. We're showing construction will start on that in 2028. So about the time to move the barrels off the connector, it's going on 440. Bishop bypass is yet to be determined, timing or routes or anything along that line. 316 at Dowsville extension. We're showing 2026 construction starting for that project to start. McNutt's Creek is a 2027 construction date. Marseille at 316, right now showing that it will be cul-de-sac is 2030. Julian Drive, we don't know exactly what that's gonna look like, will be 2030 as well. Also 316 at the 10 loop is a project to redesign that entire intersection, right there at the Waffle House. So that design is supposed to start in 2030, so you've got some time. State Route 15, the bypass of Watkinsville. So we're very thankful to Commissioner McMurray as well as Governor Kemp. They provided some money to do a preliminary study. The results of that were very positive, which led the governor to authorize money for design and right-of-way acquisition for this project. And also in the May courts, beginning after 2028, money is available for construction. So as far as construction projects are, this one seems to be moving pretty fast based on the impact it's going to have on the county. So right now, the engineering is underway. So no path has been decided. In the preliminary review, they had some suggestions. Right now, they're taking a deeper dive into those suggestions. There will be public meetings available to talk about the route. And, you'll have an opportunity to comment on those. Also, the interchange at State Route 53 and 441, right before the Watkinsville city limits, that interchange will get reworked as well. Luckily, that's no design until 2047. Construction will be 2051. So you'll be fussing at somebody else besides me. State Route 53 widening from Butler's Crossing. The third phase is what we call the Marseille project. So from the bridge where the project's ending now to Main Street, was also scheduled for widening. That's been moved to long term, but no dates certain on any of that. And also, if you travel on Highway 78, that will be getting repaved. So I think we've covered every road that you might use. Snows-Mill to Rocky Branch, the roundabout. This is a joint project between the Department of Transportation and Oconee County. Oconee County is providing engineering and right-of-way acquisition, and the state is providing construction. So again, if you've driven by there, you'll see orange barrels again. So that construction is underway. We're relocating utilities now. That roundabout should be complete in the first quarter of next year. This is a very important one for safety. It also gets one of our deputies out of the roadway at that point. State Route 53, Malcolm Bridge at Ray's Church. If you go through that one, that's a very, very tough intersection. We've been authorized to enter into a right-of-way acquisition back in December. So depending on how long it takes to get the right-of-way acquired. But right now, construction is showing in 2026. Hopefully, we can shorten that window and get it going. We just experienced a fatality there last week, or the week before last. Clotfelter Road is a bridge replacement. ER Snell's contractor, that construction is started already. What will change on June 2nd and last for 120 days is you will not be able to cross the bridge. So depending on which end you live on, that's the end you're going to have to stay on. So June 2nd, road closure for Clotfelter Road, we're up to 120 days. Currently, everybody's favorite project is State Route 53 from Butler's Crossing to US 441. My standard answer is 18 months. If you ask me in 6 months, it's still 18 months. They're currently showing a completion in the third quarter of this year. So they are making some progress as we go through there. We're starting to move stuff around. Hopefully we'll have a traffic shift in the next 30, 45 days, and I think that'll help a lot with some of the frustration that we're experiencing. Then we have Oconee County projects. Most of these are being funded with T-Splosh dollars, and I can't tell you how important T-Splosh has been. Just the amount of roads that are getting paved now, it's amazing compared to what we were doing. So we have a roundabout that's been bid and going to construction now, which is Snowsville at Lane Creek. Another tough intersection. All 5 of these that I'm going to talk about are where we've heard from our citizens. We've looked at traffic accident data, and these are basically our 5 most difficult road intersections on the county system. From there, we'll move to New High Shoals and Union Church Road. We expect to go to bid in April for that roundabout. And then Assendale Collin Ferry will be next. Then we'll move back to Cold Springs, Snowsville, and Acock Road. And then Morris Ford at Lane Creek. So all 5 of those are scheduled to be paid for out of T-Splosh dollars. We have the State Route 53 intersection of Cold Springs and Clotfelter. We looked at getting funding from the state. It doesn't appear when they rank that intersection against all the other intersections they have, it's not scoring high enough to get any kind of funds soon. So we talked about this intersection at our strategic planning meeting as well, and we'll move forward with design on that intersection, and then we're trying to get to the point where we have shovel-ready plans on quite a few. So if there happens to be a slowdown, recession, or we get a good deal on some construction, we'll move forward with it. Currently, Atlanta Highway at First Avenue is getting a signal replacement, and then over in Miller's Lake Drive, over Miller's Lake, there's a culvert replacement going on there now, so that should be completed shortly. Oconee Fire Rescue continues to have a 4.4x ISO rating. We have a new fire engine expected for Bogart, should come in. I'm not even gonna say a date, because they keep moving back. Right now, if we ordered a fire truck today, the earliest we would see it would be 5 years. During 2024, there were 869 fire calls with average response time of 8 minutes. 21% of those calls were for false alarm activation, so if y'all could help us out with keeping your security systems working good, that'd be great. There were 3,443 medical calls. So if you're looking for a great organization where you can give back to the community, recommend you check in Oconee Fire Rescue and volunteer there. Parks and Rec. A lot of activities there. Deputies were out in force last night for soccer. If you didn't get to go up there and see it. It's pretty amazing to see the number of people that have come through that section. So we have a need for additional field space and additional tennis court expansion. This project is funded with SPLOST 21 funds. It's in the final stages of engineering. We hope to see dirt moving by the third quarter this year on adding those tennis courts. Once those tennis courts are in place, that allow Herman C. Michael Park to become the pickleball park. Depending on who you talk to, if you're a pickleball fan, you say tennis is 9. If you're a tennis fan, you say pickleball is not that big a sport. We should be in really good shape after completion of this project. We're also making some investments in Heritage Park. We're in value engineering phase right now. We hope to have the final scope completed by the end of the second quarter of this year. And then the big one, Wendell and Betty Dawson Park. We at our strategic planning meeting, we had a consensus on what the first phase of that will be, which is 6 multi-use fields. We're currently reviewing engineering proposals and expect full engineering activities to begin within the next 30 days. Oconee County Beautiful received the Governor's Circle Award earlier this year for its 2024 performance. So, Oconee Beautiful helps manage our litter pickup partnership, or manages our litter pickup partnership with Oconee County Sheriff's Office. Also works with the road department to keep Mars Hill Road landscaping in good shape. So we're very lucky to have somebody in our Oconee Beautiful as well as in our road department, Michael Wayne, that takes a lot of pride in how our roadways look. Elections. So November, 86% turnout. We were number 1 in the state. And so early voting in the administrative bill went really, really well from what I could do. The Board of Elections, beginning in May, will meet on the first Monday of each month at 5 p.m. instead of whatever they were doing before. So May 5th will be the first Monday from now on. In other news from elections, there's been consolidation of voting precincts. So if you were at City Hall, Bishop, North Oconee, or the Civic Center precinct, all those precincts will now vote at the Civic Center. South Oconee will remain at Poplar Springs Baptist Church. Dark Corner will remain at the Bear Baptist Church. And then what they have in Northeast Oconee will be Marswood Hall. So some of y'all that live inside the city limits will really need to pay attention during election time about where your election will take place. So like if you're in Bogart, they put on their own election, so during that cycle you'll have to vote at Marswood Hall, and then for the city election you'll have to vote at whatever is the designated location. So we have 2 really top-notch facilities. If you haven't been out there lately, I encourage you to go. If you hadn't been to the Watkinsville branch, today will be a good day. Luke will be having mobile hours for the Lieutenant Governor's office. He'll be out there from 2 to 4. If you got any issues with the state, go talk to him. We also had the retirement of our Athens Regional Librarian. Beth McIntyre will become the Executive Director of the Athens Regional Library System starting March 17th. So Oconee County just turned 150 years old. So we had a great celebration. If you didn't make it out, you missed a really good time. I will say the best part, I tried to find this young man to come and introduce me here, but they had a town crier right before I read the proclamation. So I thought that's pretty cool. He did the whole hear ye, lend your ear. So maybe next year we can get him up here. So it was a great event. If you hadn't been by the William Batten House, I'd encourage you to go by. They got it looking really nice. Got some period pieces in there. And I understand a great family wants to live there. So I really do want your engagement. We believe if you understand and believe in the direction of Oconee County, you understand how your role impacts us, and you genuinely want Oconee County to succeed, we really want you to be part of this. The more engagement we have, the better decisions we make, the more productive we become, and the more innovative we become. One of those tools you can use is a click fix app. So you get that on your phone, you got a dead deer, you can pop it on there and shoot it. It goes to light department, pothole, or anything on that way. So the Board of Commissioners will continue working on the strategic plan. SPLOST 21, our sales tax growth has been phenomenal. A lot of that goes back to Costco. Again, I'll give Chuck Ford a lot of credit there. He was really the one that pushed to keep finding a way to get Costco.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I gotta interrupt you. Because one of the heroes behind that, yes, I did push it. Just like I'm gonna push the park. I've already told John that. But I'd like to also say my daughter Courtney Bernardi was behind the scenes. Had she not been here, this is something that the county commission did. They put in place, having the chamber be our, location for searching for business or contact to the county. It's out of the, elected officials. We've got a professional, but had she not been working with Frank Bishop, that project took 14 years. I know that because my oldest granddaughter was not born when we signed the paper. She was 14 years old. So had Courtney not been behind the scenes working with Frank, I don't think this was going to happen. So I got to say, I appreciate you for giving me a good faith, but she was the one behind the scenes.
So when we originally offered up a SPLOST 21 to the voters, the overall ask was $64.6 million, and then we budgeted at 80%. So for roughly, we have projects scheduled that come up to roughly $51.7 million. So our expected growth is actually going to be, our expected revenue number will be $72 million. That puts us in a very strong position to complete a lot of important goals on our SPLOST referendum. Also, T-SPLOST, we're very much on track with what we projected to collect there. Again, I can't tell you the huge impact it's had on our paving program. Also, if you didn't know, there's a property tax relief element to that where the millage rate was reduced as incentive for y'all passing that. And then the intersection improvements that we talked about that will actually save lives at some point. Broadband has been completed last year, so a huge improvement. I was one of the beneficiaries of having better internet, so I know Jason Branch was too, because we were on the same road. But I will say that AT&T and Charter are also looking to come back through and upgrade some of the areas that weren't considered low enough service to get the grant before. And so they're looking to upgrade some existing plants that will continue to help with internet access. Again, homestead exemptions added for this year. We continue to have a very low millage rate, AAA bond rating. So say the state of your county is strong and our future is bright. With that, we'll open up to any questions you may have about what I've talked about or anything I haven't talked about. So all y'all can come to the town hall meeting. Again, thank you very much for your support. All commissioners will be hanging around here for a few minutes afterwards. Just give the microphone.